Welcome to the London Hour. It's not in London, it's not an hour, but I'm here to share thoughts, commentary, and opinions with you about tabletop role-playing games and your other favorite forms of entertainment. Good morning, everybody. I'm exhausted. I'm so tired. I worked so long yesterday. Well, not that long. I mean, I worked as long as a normal person works. But it was physically draining. And you know how you know it's bad is I actually took ibuprofen this morning. And I never take care of myself. So I was like, I should probably do that so I can do my best on the stream. How's everybody's morning? We're going to be talking about a fun topic today, I think. I'm going to rant and ramble all over the place. I've done the most minimal amount of prep for this topic you could possibly do because we're going to find our definitions along the way like we've done before. And you're all going to be a part of that because that's how it works. Your guys' ideas and chats always make these streams better, so hope you're doing well. I might try to bring out the guitar. I might not. I did not practice it just a minute ago. So we'll see. But I might have a different idea for a song. It'll be a little different than I've done in the past. We will have to see. I tell you what, I hit the snooze button way too many times. Way too many times. And made for a pretty abbreviated morning. But we're here. We're here. We have our 3 beverages. And today would be a good day that I might need to potentially bring out the tablet. So I'm excited about that. And we'll see how poorly it goes. Because I did not really prepare for that either. I forgot what even site. Oh yeah, I was using Excalidraw. Oh, that's funny. Apparently I left a note on here. Anyway, that'll be me struggling to relearn how to do that if we do it. But that'll be fun. Yes, very tired. Anyway, we're talking today about. Actually, we need to before we talk about the topic today. We need to talk about streaming things and channel things, and I need to address the amount of pressure that I'm putting on myself. It has not reached any sort of like unhealthy level, but I can start to see it, and I'm like, hold up, let's slow down for a second. Let's just relax. The need for me, well, if you want to call it a need, the need for me to like put out something of extraordinary value is so strong. And when I came into this, I knew, well, I don't have time to like prep and write things and be, put together and smart and intelligent and have all the right things to say. So they're going to get what they're going to get. And I started out, and it was great, and it's been great. But I can tell how easily it starts to become about, am I doing good enough? Am I growing an audience? Am I retaining an audience? We have such a wonderful community that's in our Patreon and our Discord, and every day I look at that and I'm just like, I'm going to lose them. I'm going to lose them along the way. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I'm going to lose them. And I'm trying to like deal with these inner voices and try to remember that, I started doing this for a couple reasons, and one of them was fun. I love talking to you guys. I love talking to the community. I love engaging with the hobby in fun ways. I've got solo live play series that have been just so awesome, and the fans of that series, the Cadence Chronicles, have been so engaged. I've got RPG reviews that I'm doing that's helping me learn the systems that I want to run. I've got a group that's come together, getting ready to run some Legend of the Mist play-by-post games that I'm going to have for them. I have people reading the newsletters that I'm writing monthly. I have you all here in chat right now, and so I need to articulate that and put it out there for myself, and so that maybe if it comes time, y'all can hold me accountable to not stressing out so much. And I have kind of a big deal coming up on in a couple days that I want to make sure goes well, and I will put my absolute best foot forward and effort towards that, and it's going to be great. But I need to remember that at the end of the day, I'm just a single person out here who dared to say, hey, anybody want to hang out and like, I guess, I don't know, throw some money at me while I do it, because I'm going to try and add value that's worth money. But that's not what it's about, and I don't know. It's all very confusing, and I can see like the way that the portals and the systems, the YouTube and the charts and everything like that. You know, if you look at one of the things that's been getting to me is my audience chart, which has nothing to do with you guys, but it's like the actual like reach or something like that, which has more to do with if YouTube algorithm is pushing anything I'm making, or if I happen to strike on something hot like I did with pumpkin spice, like I hit it at the right time, right place, and that blew up. But the chart is like, it's just absolutely plummeting, and I'm like, am I doing something wrong? The answer is no, I'm not doing anything wrong. I just am already getting a taste of what it's like to be at the whims of these platforms that they you know, and I'm not monetized either, so they're not making any money off of me other than whatever you then click onto after you watch these streams for ad revenue or whatever. But it's conditioning you to try and do this like performance and like measure yourself up against yourself. And at the end of the day, it just needs to be about, is the product a good product that I'm proud of? And it is, because I watch back my own streams because I want to know if I screwed up the audio or something like that. And I watch back to see, you know, how bad my singing was on a given day, and I watch back to see, did I have any good ideas that I want to mine for content or other things, and I'm proud. I'm really proud of everything that I've done so far. I'm proud of everything we've done together. Like, for crying out loud, like, I came out as trans on stream to all of you because I felt safe and comfortable to do that, and that's the kind of community that we're building. And so I wanted to take some time at the top of the stream to just talk about that, because there's plenty of other challenges in life, so we don't need to be beating ourselves up along the way. So anyway, good morning, everybody. Morning, Alejandro. Pink, very pink. I doubled down on the pink today. I almost went with the green, but the pink called to me. Pink is the color of today. Oh man. Not ready to read these comments. I also got to switch this to live chat. I don't know why that's not a default. There we go. Thank you. This is the one I can't read out loud. I can't read that out loud. So, Alejandra, I have a surprise for you. And I'm going to mess this up. I'm going to do what I know. And I looked it up, and it's not the version that's out there. But I'm going to do what I know. I'm going to do what I learned. And you're going to get what you get. Estas son las mañanitas que cantaba el rey David, pero no eran tan bonitas como las cantan aquí. Despierta, mi bien, despierta, miro ya que amaneció, ya los pajarillos cantan, la luna ya se metió. Si el serena de la esquina me quisiera hacer favor de apagar su linternita mientras que pasa mi amor. Despierta, mi bien, despierta, miro ya que amaneció, ya los pajarillos cantan, la luna ya se metió. It's Alejandra's birthday. Happy birthday. That is the, sure, I guess so. Not according to what I researched last night. I looked it up last night, and I'm like, those are not the lyrics I learned in Spanish class. So there's your song for the day. That's like a, wake 'em up. Oh. Sorry, I did kind of attack you with that. That's like the morning greeting mariachi, like, wake up, it's your birthday, you're loved by your community and everyone, and that's I guess what they do in many places, Latin America and elsewhere, I guess. I don't know. Anyhow. Oh, look, it's playing my music again because I switched scenes. More of that. That's it. That's all I know. I only know the 2 verses, and I'm not going to repeat the chorus over and over and over again. I'll sing in anything. Hook me up. I'll sing in anything. Gotcha. Surprise. Happy birthday. Now, let's talk about a very simple, very basic topic like narrative emergence in RPGs. So I did the tiniest bit of research last night, and I was like, I want to make sure that when I use this term, I'm using it in the way that people in the community, RPG community at large, use the word emergence. And immediately I was like, oh, no, I don't. It was immediate. You're welcome. I hope you have a great day. So, what was I going to say? Emergence is first and foremost, from what I found briefly, it doesn't matter. We're just talking. Emergence is usually talked about in mechanics contexts. So emergent mechanics, well, I don't even know if that's an appropriate phrase. Emergent gameplay, that's what it is. Emergent gameplay comes from the unintended synergies between existing mechanics. And so emergent gameplay is, the article that I was reading was talking about like players finding exploits in video games that take advantage of certain physics models and systems like that. Like, I guess, I don't know, Zelda Breath of the Wild, you can combine like the weather and a bomb blowing up and you can like launch yourself across the map or whatever, doesn't matter. When I think of emergence as a broad, loose concept, whether it's mechanical or narrative or scene writing or prepping or GMing or planning, I mean, prepping is going to have to come up in this context because I really just don't do much of it. I think of it in terms of just what naturally flows from what's in front of you, and kind of like chain reactions of little elements on like a scatter board. Like you put them out there and you put one in motion and then they go all over the place and they make things happen. Maybe like a pinball machine when you get the multi-ball, like just chaos. And I've had some great examples recently of scenes that I think I kind of want to look at. Emergent gameplay is an extension of the free section of free instrumental spectrum of play. I believe you. I believe you. You're too smart for me, Alejandra. This is the silly dum-dum stream where I just rant about how I feel about things. But this is great. Please keep this commentary coming. Please do it. Because you're going to save me from myself. So, mostly this has been coming up for me recently, specifically with 2 characters in New Dawn. And I talked to Logan about this. I was like, could I make an entire stream out of just talking about Thane and Evelyn? And this stream might be that stream. Because Evelyn is not a PC of mine. And I realize that I handle PCs and NPCs differently when I'm giving character to someone or something. My idea with a PC has always been, and I know we talked about this in another stream, probably in the Emergence stream, where I was talking about my concept of a player character is I want about a half page of backstory at most. I really probably don't need more than that, a paragraph or 2 at most. I just need to give them enough context to place them in the world. And then it's like, for me, that's winding a top, and then I pull the string, and I let the top like spin around and bounce off of other players and bounce off other elements. And I refer back to their, I think this is the term we use, their decision-making matrix. They're kind of like a large language model stapled into a character. I know we all hate AI, but teenage romance. It's the teenage romance. So that's how I view player character entering into the world, is I give them just enough to wind the top, I rip the cord, and I let them go. And then when I find places where I don't know the answer, or I don't know what they would do, or I don't feel like I have enough to refer back to, that's when I say, okay, stop. Now I get to choose. So the character creation is happening in those moments of decision, and the decisions are happening where I don't yet know enough about the character to make that choice. All right, bear with me. I already need to get the tablet out. Ta-da! Lovely birthday gift. and it requires me to kind of rearrange my whole desk to do this. I don't have a good setup for hot swapping between. Let me see. Can I put this here? This is my. This is gonna be an absolute nightmare. Okay, bear with me. Bear with me. Give me a second. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's see, I need this, and I gotta find that plug, which goes somewhere. Nope. Oh, that's a problem. I guess. Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to do it this way. I need to get a USB hub because I have to keep this section set up so I can swap it between work from home and my actual computer. And that means I need to use certain things in certain ways. This is a tangled mess. It's a tangled mess. There's absolutely no cable management going on here from a IT person perspective. It's very shameful. I should be able to take power to the speakers from here. And then nope, I can't. I can't. One more second. This is the content we're all here for. This is the real, as the kids say. Hit me with that real. Cocaine pairing, yeah. If y'all were a Bluetooth speaker, where would you be? Ah ha ha. I got a funny answer for that, but that's for me. That's for me. All right. Pull this up. Let me pull this up, which I don't have my sources mapped for. You're always saying, what, that I've got this or that you're a Bluetooth speaker? All right. I want to capture a window such as this one. And you can see where I was testing this out. And I wrote, this is the first rule of RPGs. Oh, this is gonna be a disaster. Where is the USB-C plug, though? Haha, there it is. Isn't this fun? Aren't we having fun? I'm having fun. All right. Yes, I know you want to UAC alert me every time I plug you in. Oh, hit you with the real. That's because you're in the youth. You're in the youth. Now, let's see. I've programmed a bunch of buttons on this thing, and I forgot what all of them are. So therefore, that is my hotkey to do the eraser. Haha, look at me. So part of the stream ultimately is going to be me just messing around with this because I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay. I am capturing the screen. The screen is being captured. That's good. That's great. Really, someday, like I always say, got to figure out some music sometime. Okay, so, oh gosh, this is so weird. Please actually write, though. Thank you. So for a PC, now, okay, this is where it gets really funny. I was talking And I was like, oh, I should really write this out. So we just did that, and I'm ready here, and now I don't remember what I was going to say. For a player character, I say I'm winding the top, and then I release them into the world. But I do have some sort of concept of... I've had people look at my role-playing scenes and say, oh, well, I don't plan out arcs like you and some other people do. And I'm like, I don't plan out arcs. What are you talking about? And maybe I do. I think that character arcs are better viewed in hindsight than they are in foresight. And my handwriting also needs to evolve to do this. I don't know if you guys can even read what I'm writing, which I find hilarious. I don't even know what I was saying here. Clear in hindsight. So what makes an NPC different than a PC? And I guess it's that there is no element of my ego in there. So even though I proclaim that I'm releasing this character into the world, let me see if I can remember my hotkey for undo, because I knew I was going to use that a lot. Haha. All right. As much as I proclaim that I just release them into the world and I don't let that impact or affect what I'm doing. See, I don't know why this is shading like that. Because I have a fill thing figured out. I don't want to fill. How do I unfill it? I don't know. I'll just not close my shapes going forward. As much as I say that I'm just releasing them into the world and I'm not guiding them, I kind of am. Right? I kind of am. And this is where the way that I interpret stance theory, which I'm sure is also all wrong because I don't read things. I just come up with models that work for me. What's the saying? All labels are wrong, but some are useful. Well, maybe these labels are wrong or not wrong, but basically I adopted them myself in a way that works for me. So the three that I've commonly hear about are the actor, the author, and the director. And what makes this model useful to me is when you use this to discuss the decision-making process that happens for the character. The actor is trying to reach a state where they're making decisions for the character by the character. And they're trying to be true to this large language model concept personality matrix that they've set up for the character. They're trying to appeal to that exclusively. These are the people where the dark side of this, of course, is this is what my character would do. The author is focused on what the player wants. And I say focused, but I should say primary, because there's going to be, somebody's going to be 25% actor, 70% author, and 5% director, or whatever mix is going to work for them. So these are not monolithic ideas. And the director in the model that I use to understand things is thinking about the table as a whole, table or group. So over here with the PC, I'm creating some sort of understanding of how they're going to act or react to a situation. That's priming me for throwing them into uncertain situations and consulting that matrix to figure out what needs to happen. And then, like I said, if I don't know the answer, that is a moment where I then step into an author from an actor. These go back and forth for me very often. And I consult and I say, well, what would I want to see? Because I am now getting to choose. And I'm not going to pretend like my bias is not going to enter in the moment that I have a decision. It's one thing to set up the character and release them and then consult what you already decided. Because then you could say, I'm not in the present moment creating or deciding what the character is doing. I am referring back to something in the past that I don't currently have my hands in. Therefore, I can claim some sort of bias separation. When you're doing it in the moment to fill in the gaps where you don't have the answers, that's when you are entering into more of an authorial stance, because you are deciding. Even if you are deciding and you're trying to intercede on behalf of the character, you are taking an active role there. And that's what some people get twisted up about. They're like, well, no, it's always you. It's always you deciding. It's like, yeah, but even so, you could still appeal to the character when you're doing it from an author's stance. So, some thoughts there. When I have an NPC, I don't have my ego in there because I don't have a specific particular interest in what my character in quotes, is going to do or be or how they're going to act. And that actually is where you start to slide maybe potentially a little bit into more of the director stance. Now I'm considering what my scene partner or somebody other than me or the table or the group would like to see. So NPCs get a little more interesting with this. But all of this comes to a head here where, and I wonder, I don't know how to, should I make new sheets or should I? Again, I'm very new to this. I'll just move over here. Oh, that's right. I set up this scroll wheel too, didn't I? I did practice this. Look at that. I'm not even using the mouse. Such a pro. Okay. So that brings us to Evelyn. Evelyn is... Learn my hotkeys. There we go. Evelyn is a NPC in New Dawn. And she was not created by me. Evelyn was created by Min Andreas to be an NPC in a kind of mission side adventure thing that happened over a year ago. She was a young, sort of older teen farm girl who accidentally awoke a dark Ergothoan statue because she got confused and thought it was Pharasma. If you don't know Galarian lore, Pharasma is like the god of like death and passing and like the proper flow of souls into the beyond. Ergothoa is like queen of the undead, all sorts of nasty stuff. Okay, Logan, we'll see, buddy. So Evelyn was this wide-eyed farm girl that accidentally woke this thing. Some of our PCs went out there to handle it, and we handled it. We took the statue. It's too high of a level for anybody to break the curse on it, so it got handed over to another character who put it in safekeeping, where it's still there to this day. Ooh, plot hook, interesting. What could happen? Who knows? Now, down the road, Min Andreas had Evelyn show up at Starkeep, which is our town, to the Temple of Shellen. And if Min were here, I would ask him why. Because I don't actually know why he had her stop by. To be an acolyte, kind of a junior character to High Priestess Vafistara, which is probably the motivation that Min had for that, is to introduce an element of this kind of mentorable, young, impressionable character as a growing development of that little zone of New Dawn. New Dawn, again, if you don't know, New Dawn is a giant Pathfinder 2 play-by-post mega game, and all of this stuff with the temple is just like one little slice of it. It's a big slice, but it's just one slice. So, I disappeared for a year in real life. I came back. She wanted to become a cleric, right. But I mean, like, outside of the logic of the game, like what his actual GMing plans were for that. Hey Thaddeus, welcome in. We got the drawing board out. Yeah, it was a very in-character thing for him to have her do, but he still pulled the trigger and did it, and I'm always curious about that kind of thing. So she's there. I disappear for a year. I come back. Scenes are starting to happen with more frequency and yada yada yada. And there is an event, and it's a big party. And at this party, people are dancing and singing and clapping and whatever, and it was a whole pretense to get a bunch of the heroes in the right place at the right time to lure somebody in to make a temporal attack on the city. And it was terrible, and a lot of people died. Yeah, if it weren't for the pink on black, you'd be confused where you were. And I'm really, really bad at using this, Thaddeus, so this is as much practice for me as it is a tool for anybody to learn anything. At the party, there was dancing, and Evelyn started to dance with Thane. Logan, did you start that? You must have, because I didn't take control of her as a character until I think after that had already established. And I say take control. NPCs in New Dawn can be used by any GM, but sometimes somebody just comes in and plants a really strong flag for a voice of a character, and I kind of hijacked Evelyn, and Min was like, keep going. I was like, all right. So yeah, okay. So you were probably just like, oh, let's look for like a role to make for this event, and there's dancing, so we'll do that. And Thane is a young champion of Shellen, also at the temple. These notes are so unhelpful to all of you. I'm absolutely positive this is not doing anything for you, but it's good practice for me. And so Thane and Evelyn were dancing. And that was kind of like a little cutesy, like young teen. They were just talking about how they both have simple upbringings and going back to farm life, and how they weren't good at being like fancy dancers, and they were doing like, whatever you want to call it, square dancing style type barn dancing kind of thing, and having a good time. She convinced you to bring out the country bumpkin dancing. Yeah. So that was fun. And then we have the characters who are all circling around this being like, ooh, like, look, Thane and Evelyn are heading it off in that well, aren't they? They're both living in the same temple, like a door down from each other. I think their rooms are adjacent, aren't they? They might be. If it's helpful, you can keep going. Well, I'm going to keep it going either way. I guess if I get too frustrated with my own inadequacies with this, I'll give it up. But so I'm trying to think of when I know when I took Evelyn over. Yeah. So there's all sorts of characters running around during this scene. This event, I should say. And at one point, Thane is like surrounded by these other women. We have Slade, who just came into the campaign. We have Gina, who is a Callistrian. So, very forward. I feel like there was even somebody else there, potentially, right? And so Evelyn, who's been dancing with Thane, is over here thinking like, look at all these like more mature women that Thane is surrounded by, and like he is great, and I kind of like him, and I'm kind of crushing on him, and like he's getting all this attention from these other women. And I think we were like racing. Kalana and I were both like, oh, this would be a really interesting moment for Evelyn to come up and try and like assert herself, kind of. And I was like, yeah, that would be. And I was trying to think through how that would look. So now we're starting to talk about the emergence of this scene and the emergence of this character. Who is Evelyn? What is she like? What is her personality like? To this point, she was just kind of a demure, like low-key, simple farm girl who just had aspirations. She was impressed by the party that came out to help them with this undead threat, and she wants to become a cleric. So there wasn't a whole lot yet for her to live and breathe with outside of that. And Thane was an opportunity for this character to really grow. And so this was an interesting conundrum for me, because now I've stepped into the picture and I'm writing Evelyn, coming up here and thinking, how is she going to handle this? Is she going to be jealous? Is she going to be petty? Is she going to be kind of bitchy, for lack of a better word? And I kind of tried to thread this needle of a little bit of all of the above, but also completely and totally out of her element. And so if I recall correctly, I had her come up and she was just kind of like, I think the real like mood setter for me is I had her say, they were talking about adventures that they had been on or something like that. And Evelyn just goes like, oh, like we've talked about his adventures over dinner. Knowing that Slade at least probably has no idea who she is, and Gina might not know this as well, that like they live in the same temple. They live right next to each other. But it wasn't this. It wasn't the pettiness that I wanted to bring out. It was her fear of losing him before she even had him, and her fear of her own feelings for even knowing if she wants to have him, and her fear of like, I'm like going through this adolescent phase and I don't know what to do with my feelings, So I enabled her to have that comment. And then I think I went into the out of character chat and I said, Evelyn is using this as an opportunity to say, Thane and I spend our evenings together. And let these other women come to whatever conclusions about that they're going to come to. And she's just plausible deniability. Like, technically, it's true. They do talk about his adventures over dinner. But without the context, she's allowing these other characters to interpret from that. Yes, it was her claiming her territory, but not really on purpose. That's a really great way to put it. I mean, it kind of was on purpose. She didn't know how hard to go. I did want it to come from a place of it being on purpose, slightly. But yeah. So, but then in the out of character chat, I said she would also be horrified if other people heard her try to make that sort of coy assertion, like we spend our nights together. Like she would be so devastated if people thought that she was being whatever she or her family might consider improper, right? So she was walking this fine line. So I had her say that, and then I had her freak out because she's like, "Oh my God, like what am I doing?" Baby's first flag planting. It was 100%, and it was adorable, and she freaked out and she ran away. So Amy, my character, okay, this is the emergence of the scene. I'm controlling Evelyn. I control Amy. Amy is a PC. I needed Amy to give Evelyn a reason to leave the scene, which is going to be a common theme today. So I have Evelyn say, "Oh my gosh," like she rushes over here, hooks Amy by the arm and just like pulls her over into this alleyway. And so she's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. So Evelyn and Amy are over here. I will learn how to use this tool better, like clicking and dragging things. Evelyn and Amy over here. She's like, I don't know what I am doing. I feel sick to my stomach. I am freaking out. I basically went up and challenged these two other women who I barely know for like claiming stakes over this man who, do I even like him? I don't know. Is this what liking feels like? Like, who am I? What am I doing? What would my dad think? So I do all that. And I do this stuff. I do a lot of internal monologue when I'm writing characters as well. And I realize this stream, I'm talking about narrative emergence, but so much of my play experience in the last many years has been through play-by-post. So a lot of this is kind of like the writing side of role-playing. But you can do this in live play too. And maybe I'll try and pull up some examples from a fiasco game I was in if they come up. But she's horrified. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know who I am. Help. And Amy's like, it's okay. Calm down. Breathe. It's okay. Like, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to push anything. You don't have to rush anything. You're fine. You did fine. You didn't embarrass yourself or whatever. Everything's fine. And then, because of course, Thane says, excuse me, ladies, I'll be right back. And Logan has Thane walk over here. And he has Thane be like, hey, did I upset you or something like that? So, now I have another decision point. Because I controlled this interaction because I run both of these characters. Now I have another decision point. Thane has come back over, and I did not know that was going to happen. In fact, I was surprised. Logan, you surprised me. I thought I was ending the scene. I don't know if you do that. But you don't control all the characters, and that's the point. I thought I was ending the scene, and to kind of give it some downward whatever. Thing comes over. He's like, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. Like, what do you mean? She plays dumb, and she's like, of course I'm fine. Like, why wouldn't I be fine? Everything's fine, super fine. Thane, everything's great. Everything's fine. And it is that awkward. She's just like spinning her wheels, trying to be like, yeah, why would I not be fine? Like, haha, like, yeah. I just wanted to talk to Amy. I did tell this story on the romance stream as well. But Logan comes over with Thane, and he's I'll put it this way. He's making an offer. Thane is making an offer. Logan was making an offer as a player. And the offer was, how do I even put this? And not to put words in your mouth, Logan. But the offer was like, hey, do you want to try and resolve this? I think that boils it down. You want to resolve this? And then you write it on a note and hand it back in class. And I said no. And I had Evelyn play dumb and just kind of like leave things as they were. Does it? Sorry. Are you okay? That looks like RV okay. We'll get better. I said no to the offer, which is fine. Like, I assume that was fine, Logan. And you should be okay. You should never make an offer that isn't sincere that you're okay with either outcome. So, sincere outcomes all welcome. Yeah, I kind of figured because, I mean, it was a great like non-closure. And I really need to hotkey this button onto my thing one of these days. It was a really great non-closure because she says what she says. Thane walks away. He's doing the Michael Cera like sad walk from Arrested Development. Sad puppy, you know. And then Evelyn like whips back over to Amy, and she's just like, "What am I gonna do?" So I maintained this like internal chaos of the character. And I said this before, I share a lot of internal thought process or monologue, or when I have a character that I can use to exposit it and get it out, I get it out. It's always better to be out and known at the table, if you ask me. I did have a really great conversation actually with another member of our Discord yesterday, and he is a very good GM at running mystery stuff. Mystery, and in particular, he was talking about Delta Green and how he was really enjoying the element of like the players not knowing what's going on, and even at the end of things, like it's all about what they decide that they believe at the end, and he doesn't give them any firm answers, and they hate it but they love it. And I'm like, that's not for me. I need to know, and I want to know more, and I'm happy to know as much as possible above the table, and I will filter out what I bring to the table, because if I'm going to be in man, I've been all over the place. If I'm going to ever step into author or director role, I need to have outside knowledge. Otherwise, you can't really do these things. And I do sort of impose some sense of what I want to see happen or what I think would be interesting to see happen. This is where it comes into this no ego thing with the NPCs. I don't have a vested interest in things going a particular way. She lies. Because this little romance is so cute that I do actually, but don't tell anybody. I hope it goes well, but you know, you have to be open to the fact that things might change or shift, and they might not go well. So that's where we leave Evelyn and Thane for now. Then the time attack happens. Let me see where I want to go here. Let's go down here. The time attack happens, and it's horrible and terrifying. And so they survive, both of them. It was up in the air if Evelyn would survive. She was listed as an NPC that could be killed in the event, and she did not get killed. So that would have been extra tragic. But she did survive. And then it was in the fallout of this event where a lot of characters were talking about a lot of things. Reconnecting, checking in, seeing how people are doing, consoling each other, a lot of healing in the community, gathering people up, triaging, sending them to various temples for healing and everything. It was intense. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, and did that happen right after? Is that what happened right after he walked away? I'm trying to remember the order of events. Yeah, I think then Slade, who was one of the women that was with him. Oh! I'm trying to remember. The thing with her dad happened after. Yeah, so anyway, so Thane ends up trying to dance with Slade. I think Slade's player was actually doing a roll for the event, and got a critical fail or something. Yeah, so Thane ends up falling on his face and, very slapstick. But actually, at the end of the battle, Evelyn reconnects with her father, who had been there. They were split into different time shards, and they were being attacked from like all different times. And this was all happening on the same map at the same time, but you could only affect who was in your time shard. Very cool event that was run by Ikes, who's in our community. So I think it was, Slade at the end was feeling like lightheaded or something, and Thane was like helping her like walk or something. And so from across the courtyard, Evelyn sees Thane with this other woman on his arm again, and she's like, "God damn it, like, what is happening?" And so this is worth sketching out. So now we have Evelyn. That is an M, not an N. In fact, most of these are not letters in the English language. Evelyn. That's how that works. And I think her dad's name is Aldir. I don't remember. Observing Thane and Slade. So she's looking with jealousy over here, and he's looking at his daughter over here, and he's looking at him over here. And then I had just this little moment. This is now NPC to NPC, where I have Aldir say to Evelyn, like, "Hey, pretty sure he's yours if you want him." And so she gets all embarrassed, and she's just like, "Dad, like, shut up." And that was just a scene that was handled by just me, but I'm building out, and I'm hoping to convey what this character is for everybody that's reading and witnessing it. What does this have to do with narrative emergence? I don't know. This is not the most structured stream in the world, but I find this stuff really fascinating, and we're going to get to a couple scenes where one of my favorite elements of scene writing comes into play, which is the puzzle of scene writing. When I come to a scene and I'm trying to listen to a number of inputs, in this fact, this might be a good thing for me to consider for myself. Inputs are the character, the scene itself, which I'll put in quotes, the other characters, specifically scene partner characters, and the other players, and the game itself as a whole. These are all things that are juggling for my attention when I'm making decisions about what's happening in a scene. Whether I'm running an NPC in it, whether I'm running a PC in it, doesn't matter. These are all considerations that like flash through my head. Rapid fire. So when I say that sometimes a scene is a puzzle, I'm going to draw a terrible puzzle piece because I feel like drawing, because I have the tablet out. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. I'm looking at all of these inputs, and then I'm trying to find, what am I trying to find? I'm trying to find what I would call, and we're going to dive into this, the best way forward. And then you have to ask yourself, well, what's the best way forward? Do we conceive of this as some sort of utilitarian scenario where I'm trying to maximize for each of these? Like, this is a check mark, this is a double check mark, and this is a check mark, and this is an X. Doesn't do anything for that. Am I trying to balance all of these out and get the sum, like, net outcome of most checks possible? Maybe I am. I don't know. I actually don't know. Do I weight these? Like, the character themselves, they get 30% of the consideration, and the scene partners get 20%, and the game as a whole gets 10%. Like, these are different models to look at how you could go about this, and they're all fascinating, and I haven't given them any thought. So what do I mean when I'm saying that I want to find the best way forward through the puzzle of a scene? And I think that for me, and we might actually talk about narrative emergence, believe it or not. I think that for me, one of the goals I'm trying to achieve is there's a concept, and if I can get it out, I'll be really happy with myself. There's a concept of something like I don't know. Somebody, what's the prime directive? How's the prime directive worded? I don't know if you know where I'm going with this. I'm going to write down prime directive until somebody fills me in so I don't forget my train of thought. It's this idea that that a scene and a story, I believe this about stories, they're kind of living, breathing things that need to be nurtured and cared for and can be twisted against their own purposes, and they need to be dealt with carefully. And a scene is a micro story. It's a story within a story. And so there's something about the scene being this like organism that I'm trying to care for, and I'm trying to I guess, I don't know, am I trying to parent it to like let it grow up? Possibly. But I don't know. I mean, the idea I was going for with the prime directive is like maybe the best way forward in the scene is the way forward that honors the most of these with the least ego. Because note, I didn't write over here, and I should have. Myself. This is the ego. So is that the best way forward? The most organic? The least intrusive? Is that what I am after? Maybe not everybody's after that same thing. It's also like absolutely shameful how badly I'm writing this stuff. Oh, I didn't know I hotkeyed that. Cool, good for me. So I think for me there is an element of trying to do justice and honoring the organism of the scene itself. And I think it's perfectly fine if other GMs, players, or whatever have different goals. You could, for example, have as your goal, like, create the most drama. I keep clicking the button on the pen itself because I'm a silly person. My handwriting's not getting any better. It's getting worse. Create the most drama. That is a possibility. And so this is where actually I think this is neat, because this would be considered a player or GM agenda. See you, Thaddeus. Thanks for stopping in. Where you have a Powered by the Apocalypse game, which will tell you right up front and right forward, do these things. This is what this game is about. These are the stories this game is trying to tell. And Girl by Moonlight, of course, it tells you to hold on but lightly. It tells you to stare into the broken mirror and like not make everything perfect. It has these prescriptive directions. If you want to get the most out of this game, this system, these are the things you need to lean into. This is a personal style version of call it a player agenda, I guess. Whereas player can be GM or player. This agenda becomes the matrix by which you evaluate how you weigh your inputs to get the results that you're looking for, that then go back to one of these three stances. Possibly, she postulates. So there's a lot of work here, and there's a lot competing for your attention as somebody who is doing scene work. I call it scene work because it just feels right, but I'm not trying to overly inflate it. So what happens to Evelyn and Thane? The story continues. Let's zoom in a little bit more so it's easier for you guys to read my terrible writing. The battle's over. We have a bunch of falling action. Thane is going up the stairs, and he is not looking good. In fact, he's trying to make hot cocoa for everybody. I'm remembering it now. And he can't find some of the spices. They're missing. This is going to be another narrative emergence moment. So he calls over Amy, I think. I might have some of this wrong, but I just need to get them in the right place in the right time for this. Leonis Legion. The ability system is a highly important structure for a good narrative beam structure. Tell me more about the ability system, and also welcome in. Let me know if I know you by another name. I'd love to know what you mean by that. So I believe Thane calls Amy over, and he's like, hey, I can't find, I don't remember which spices he was even looking for. And Amy comes in. Now, I as the player, like, where are the spices? I as the player don't know. I as the character don't know. I and the character have been gone for like a year. I mean, she's been gone for like 4 months in world time. Okay, he did ask Amy, yeah. And so now I get to decide. So where are the spices? And I decide. Where would they be? And so you go through, like, you also have to consider what's reasonable. Thane has been operating out of this kitchen in the temple for, I don't know how many months, 3? I don't know how many months after Amy's disappearance he showed up. So maybe 3 months, maybe 2, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. He's been in there long enough that he's just like, I can't find these spices. Whereas usually he would be able to find these spices or would have gone and bought more if he needed them. So they're missing, and they're missing somewhat recently. So you have to like think through the logic of this. And I actually use this as an opportunity to introduce something. Amy has an Eldamon inside of her. An Eldamon is like a nature spirit, more or less, and it's an Eldamon of force powers, and that's where she gets her magic from. And when she got sick and cursed and had to be like sleeping beautyified while I was away from the campaign, her little Eldamon guy was out running around on his own. And she didn't even know that he existed, like inside of her, fused with her. Until she got sick, and it was like hurting him to stay inside of her, so he had to come out. Like, he doesn't want it. That's like not home for them. They find a home and they like want to stay there. So they have a really high affinity. So I had Amy, in this moment, wondering where the spices were, have a flashback to a memory of her Eldamon that had since rejoined her that showed him hiding the spices. And I still haven't revealed why. So this whole little notion was a way for me to achieve something else, which is that there was a specific memory that I wanted. Onland is the name of this little guy. Onland shared a scene with Vathi after Amy was cursed, and I wanted Amy to have access to that memory, and I wanted that to be emotionally overwhelming for her. See you, Alejandra. Happy birthday. Ooh, new dog. Right on. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Cinnamon and cayenne. There you go. The characters, powers, and quirks drive narrative. Yeah. And it's how do you balance that, right? Like, because like I said up here, you have, where did I say it? Here. You have all of these different inputs to consider. And every player is going to weigh these differently. You know? How much they value the other characters, how much they value the game as a whole, how much they value their character. So yeah, it's really, really fascinating stuff. Let's get my pen back. Okay. So there was this memory of Vathi and Onland sharing this last piece of bread. And I knew, going back months in real life London time, I knew that I wanted Amy to have access to this memory. As like this like flickering, like it's not her memory, but it is, because this being that she's so attuned with had this moment. And so I had this in the back of my mind. And the only question was, when is this going to come up? And this was an opportunity. The spices are gone. Why would they be gone? It doesn't make any sense for them to be gone. Logan, what were you even thinking? Like, I don't even think I asked you. Why did you have these spices missing in the first place? Let me know. So I used that as a vehicle for her to have access to this memory of the spices being hidden by this little fox Eldamon guy, which unlocked this memory of her having this bread with Vathi, which means Amy rushes the hell out of the scene, leaving Thane like all like worked up and emotional over his difficult day, and that he feels like he's not doing anything right, and or let me know if I'm getting any of that wrong, Logan. So he's having like this emotional moment. He misinterprets Amy leaving as thinking that like she thinks he's a crybaby and he needs to toughen up and he's embarrassed. So he's like, I'm going up to my room to go sleep. So he comes out, super sad panda, walking around. Amy and Vafi now are over here because Amy's like blubbering at her. She's like, oh my God, I have this memory and like I saw you and I saw how much you missed me and how much it hurt you and I'm so sorry. And Vafi's like, I understand. Like, of course, like it's not like you wanted to be cursed. Vafi has this going on. She sees Thane walking away all sad. And she also sees Evelyn, which I cannot write to save my life. Cannot do the Y's on this thing. It was emergent. It was part of the special recipe, and it was an opportunity to connect with Amy as they have similar interests. Whoops. Sorry, my dude. I fucked that up. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the kind of thing that this stream is all about. Okay, so Logan is setting a scene. Logan has his ideas about what he wants to see for his character. I have these little things in my back pocket. I want Amy to figure out this bread memory at some point. I don't know when and where. I'm going to wait for the right time. What else did I put down for like goals? I don't even know. I'm all over the place. Common goals is important. Yeah. I mean, you can mix and blend them too, as long as everybody's like checking in and talking above the table. So Logan has goals. He's trying to have a scene to connect with Amy. I come in with Amy. I have these goals. What happened to my pen? There it is. Let's see. I have these goals. And they interrupt his. My character leaves. Now he has I made an offer, right? We talked about making an offer before. So my offer was hey, I'm going to leave you in emotional distress and you get to choose how to deal with it. And so he chose how to deal with it. He chose to have Thane, do the sad walk. Going to go up the stairs to his room. It was really awesome because it allowed Thane to crack open after such an incredibly stressful and awful situation with the time battle. Yeah. Well, and it's like Thane's in the kitchen crying. Amy literally runs away to go cry over here. Everybody's crying. It's a very, very tear-filled Fallout scene. So okay, point being, Amy's like collapsed into Vafi. Vafi sees Thane leave. Vafi sees Evelyn off to the side. Evelyn sees Thane and is like, oh my God, that's like my crush. And like, what's happening? Is he okay? And Vafi gives Evelyn the head nod, like, go. Like, go after him. For romance or comfort or whatever, doesn't matter. So Evelyn, emotional support hierarchy, Evelyn comes along. And Thane, why did he stop on the stairs? I don't remember. Thane stops on the stairs. Evelyn runs right into him. I think actually I was busy and Kalana stepped in and made this happen. And then sent me a message and was like, you need to pick this up. So I was like, okay, I'm here. I got it. Oh, was it Marshy on the stairs or something? So she runs smack into the back of him and then they have their kind of awkward, oh, and she's like, are you okay? And he's like, no, whatever that conversation looked like. Oh, Marshy was blocking Thane? Okay, so you guys need to know Marshy. Marshy is like, here, let's do a official Marshy art. Marshy is also an Eldamon, custom reskinned by Mr. Green Hippo, and they are the definition of an emotional marshmallow, and they are pretty much literally a sentient marshmallow. You're writing a fantasy book series, so you do a lot of this? Yeah. Well, good for you. Way to stay on top of that. Keep at it. Just keep at it. Get the words out on the page. If you already know all this, sorry, I don't mean to lecture you, but get it out on the page. It's easier to edit something that exists than to edit something that doesn't exist. Anyway, so they have their little moment on the stairs, And this is where the emergence once again came out. Because what am I after in this scene for Evelyn? What am I after? Again, consulting this list of inputs. What does the character want? What is the scene asking me for? What do the other characters want? What does the scene partner want? What do the players want? What does the game want? What does my own ego want? We would all die without hesitation for Marshy. Correct, but Marshy would never let us. That's the dynamic. So what do I want out of this scene? Honestly, I'll tell you exactly what I, London, wanted out of this scene. I wanted the scene. I think of that entire list, I prioritized what I call the scene. And I let the scene tell me what was going to happen. And when I say the scene, it's like the sum total of everything that the situation, the fictional realities, the dialogue that has happened up to the point that you're writing the next line of dialogue, that all filters into the scene. So those are all your funnel, all these things inputting into quote unquote the scene. And what is the scene asking of you is your output. And the output in this case was Evelyn confesses feelings for Thane. And I'll tell you what, because we talked about this after the fact, I did not expect that. Logan did not expect that. Kalana did not expect that. I don't know if any of the other players in New Dawn expected that. This was hours after Evelyn up here. Where did she go? Boy, we have written a lot, haven't we? Where did I write the thing about her freaking out? Over here. Hours after this situation where she comes, she tries to like plant her flag with Thane, and then she's like also conflicted and horrified that she even did that, because she's like, I'm being so forward, this isn't like me. I have these feelings in my stomach, there's butterflies and what's going on. And she runs away and tells Amy, like, I'm not ready. Because Amy, actually, to end this scene, I forgot to mention this, Amy's like, you can still go back up to him and you can tell him whatever you're ready to tell him. And she's like, I'm not ready to tell him anything. I don't know what these feelings are. I don't know how to handle them. I'm not ready. And that was the end of this scene. That was the end of that matter. And that was the signal. We haven't talked about signaling, but as the player in that scene, what I was signaling to Logan is this is going to be a slow burn situation. Because I have the opportunity. I actually made to myself, from one character to another, the offer. You can go after him. No. The answer was no. So everybody's expecting this slow play. And then, you know what? The scene had other plans. And I don't know if this sounds crazy to people. When I refer to the scene here, when I refer to this, what I'm trying to say is that if the dialogue had been different, if this setting had been different, if the situation had been different, this might not have happened. And I don't know if people believe me because I am such an RPG romance person. So I don't know if I would be believed, and maybe I need to take a look at myself. But yeah, this scene had other plans. Yeah. There was nothing else that could have happened there. As I was sitting there reading it and writing into the scene, there was nothing else that could have happened there. And this is the stuff that when I talk about narrative emergent play, you consult the character, you consult the other person's character, you consult the table, you consult the game, you consult the scene, you take all these inputs and then you decide. And for me, I think this is actually really important that this came out as I was whiteboarding this, blackboarding it, whatever. Where did I put it? Here. What does the best way forward mean to you when you're in the scene? If you can't define this, you don't know your like mission statement for what you're expecting out of a scene, you're going to kind of go all over the place. And maybe that's fine. Hey, Pepper. We're talking about, I don't know. I don't know. Somebody catch Pepper up. I don't know. Look, Pepper. Look at all this. We're deconstructing scenes and talking about role-playing and emergent narrative. I don't know. It's been a good time. So, because I asked myself this, what does it mean to solve the puzzle of the scene for me is to find the best way forward. Well, what does that mean to me? And to me, that means some degree of honoring the organic nature of the scene. The scene is its own living, breathing thing. And some people might have an alternate agenda where theirs might say create the most drama, or they might have a player agenda from a game that tells them what sorts of things to create to work towards theme or emulation of genre. So there's a lot of different methods that you can use to approach how you exist in scenes. This right here came out of trying to honor the scene as this living, breathing thing. And it was unexpected. And I'm trying to remember exactly what happened on that stairwell. It was a couple weeks ago. They didn't kiss, did they? No, I think they had their first kiss the next morning. Yeah. But anyway, she was very like meek, timid. She's just like, I think I like you. Like, that's what it was. Because they're teenagers. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm in love with you. It's not that. It's I like you. And I don't know what to do with that. So teenage romance goodness indeed. And I gloss over this, but like I also recognize we did a whole stream on romance. Some players are not into this at all. They're not into participating about it. They're not even into seeing it. They're just like, please keep that away from me. That crosses a line for me. And I'm like, I'm sad for you, because romance in real life isn't a totally normal and ordinary thing. But I get it, that like people are not necessarily coming to their fantasy role-playing game to do romance. So even though I focus heavily on it, and even though Logan's on board, and many other people that I've had RPG romances with, it's not for everybody, and I do understand that. So then there's a breakfast scene. And the breakfast scene I don't think had that much of a puzzle to solve for me. It was more kind of route one, but I'm also kind of, I should actually look this up. Hold on one second. How do I want to do this? Oh, that's a neat trick. I learned a new trick. Gosh, I don't even know if I'd know what. That must have been in the Temple of Shellen post. Because I do want to refresh myself on what they talked about. Oh, this was the morning with the tattoo. Okay. Scrolling. People usually do focus on the adrenaline of puzzle aspects. I definitely do. You'll see this stream is something I would have talked about anyway. But in particular, there was a scene we ran just the other night with these two characters again, that like I did a deconstruction of my thought process through the scene, and the other people in out of character chat, some of them were just like, "Whoa, like what? You thought through all of that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's like what I'm here for. That's what I'm all about." I don't know if I'm going to be able to find this breakfast scene because I don't specifically remember. Oh, here we go. Right. Okay. All right. Okay. Bear with me. Yeah, I just found it right when you did. Oh, it did. Huh. It's been a whirlwind. I should have reread this. I was going to reread this morning, but I had a hard time getting up. Anyway, point is that they keep being cute with each other, and it's good stuff. Anyway, well, let's find the most recent part. Your stories usually focus on the self-development and discovery and the social dynamic impact of the world on the characters. That sounds delightful. Sounds wonderful. Yeah, I think I'm a very character-focused writer, if and when I get back to it. Interrupts your mid-sentence, which you also did not know was going to happen. If you have that and you can link it to me in DM, let me know, because I'm lost. I'm so lost. Where did we do? Okay, that scene happened over here. Yeah. God, it was such a short scene, too. I can't believe I got so much out of it. Okay, so let me tab over back to here. So there's a breakfast scene. There's a hot cocoa scene the night before. Right, because she gets him to come back down the stairs, and she's like, hey, you didn't even have any of the hot cocoa you made for everybody. And they have it there. Then there's a breakfast scene. And then Thane goes on a journey. And he's gone for like a week. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Appreciate it. Bam. Oh, yeah, yeah. Right after she says, I've never kissed anyone before. Because she can't help herself saying it. That's funny. Is this not the breakfast scene? I'm confused. Yeah, this is the breakfast scene, homie. Yeah, because she's going to go out to the temple to get flowers for all the dead. And then he gives her a bunch of money, and she's like, holy crap, dude. I've never seen so much money in my life. So Thane goes on an adventure. Doesn't matter where. And it doesn't go well for him, and he comes back. Adventure. He comes back, and he's looking worse for wear. Now, I have this thing going on with Evelyn and Thane. And Logan's like, hey, I'm running this scene with Thane because he's got a lot of like things to process from his trip that he was just on. Did not go the way he had hoped. He's kind of feeling a little rebellious, and like the current powers in place need to be dealt with, and he doesn't like what they're doing. And so there's an open call for like any relevant characters that might want to be in the scene, come on down. And so either I was busy or I decided not to have Evelyn show up yet. But Thane ends up talking to Slade again. And Slade has, she's got some succubus stuff going on. Nephilim, I believe, is what they're called in Pathfinder 2. I think there's an even more specific phrase for that, but another important aspect is usually the history of the world itself influencing the storyline indirectly. Yeah. I mean, this whole campaign is, it's in Pathfinder, Galarian universe, and it's set right next to the World Wound. So the World Wound was closed 6 years ago in World Now, 7 maybe? And it's all the fallout from that, and it's been really, really tied in. So Thane is over here talking to Slade, and they're having a moment. And the moment that they're having is more important than any moment that I could have with Evelyn. But I did want her there. And so they actually reached out to me. Slade's player gave me a ping and was like, hey, wouldn't this be an interesting time for Evelyn to come in? Because they were being kind of like affectionate with each other. Like things have been hard. Thane looks like crap. Slade's like trying to be caring and take care of him. And she has this succubus element to her that she doesn't always want to like be a factor, but kind of dealing with that character struggle of, do people ever actually love me for who I am, or is it just the pull is what she calls it in character a lot. So Slade's player reached out to me, London, and is like, hey, is now a good time for Evelyn to show up? And I went, no, not yet. And I was waiting for something. And I didn't know what I was waiting for, but I was waiting for something, an opportunity. And it came a little bit later when they were a little less touchy-feely, because it wasn't about trying to introduce this drama of like, oh, like now Evelyn's going to be jealous. Because I didn't feel like that was needed in that moment. And I don't necessarily want to see her or play up her as like an insecurity angle as a character. So I said no. And then I think only a couple more posts went by. In fact, I have it up right now, so I'll just review. Gotta go back over here. And then Slade is like, oh, you're trying to overthrow the government? I'm good at that. So Evelyn comes in, and she doesn't even know Thane's back yet. So she comes in the temple into this situation, and she's got a basket full of flowers again because I needed her to have something. You know, when you're doing scene work with characters and you need them to be doing something, and I was like, she's got to be holding something. So she's got a basket of flowers, and she's coming in the temple, and she's waving hello to Mr. Whatever name I just gave this new NPC that I got to put in the sheet, Mr. Fellows. I track all the NPCs, and it's a long list. And then she turns around, and she like, holy shit, Thane's back. And she throws like the basket of flowers to the side and runs up to him. And she's like, oh my God, you look terrible. What does she say? She runs in. Thane hugs her, says, I can't tell you how good it is to see you. And she says, baby, you look awful. She doesn't call him baby ever. So this is first thing of Emergent about this. How do characters address each other? What names of endearment do they use? What terms of endearment do they use? Because they matter. Like, especially if they're new. So this is the first time that she's ever called him baby. And that's a term that like some people get turned off by, whatever. But, characters are individual people. They can use whatever things they want. Drink water. Are you talking to me about drinking water? Oh, no, in the scene. I was like, what? I've got water right here. Why are you yelling at me? Yeah. She's like, baby, you look awful. Let me get you some water. Sit back down. Sit. When's the last time you ate anything? And she goes like, it's straight into like, almost like mothering mode. And then she's just like, sit the fuck down. Like, let me take care of you. And then I had her leave the scene. Yeah, that's what she did. So, first of all, I had her call him baby. And then in the non-dialogue chat following, I said, baby, you look awful. The term of endearment is out of her mouth before she has a chance to realize. And it doesn't seem to arrest her carrying momentum to have used it. So the urgency of her seeing him and her like having been worried about him on this adventure that he went on. Let's draw a nice arrow. There we go. She's not even thinking about it, and it just like spills out of her. So that reveals something about her. And then when I reveal that it doesn't like make her go like, oh my God, what did I just say? Because I've shown her to be this anxious, like over concerned about how she's coming off to him. It's like her first like major relationship. She doesn't really know what she's doing. The fact that in this moment, he needs to be taken care of, whether he agrees or not, whether he actually needs it or not, she feels like he needs to be taken care of. And boom, like she's in a different headspace. Yeah, connection disposition. Yeah, say more about that if you get a chance. Connection disposition. What you mean? Okay, so she calls him baby. That's the first thing that like I didn't go in with a plan. This is not like my bread scene. This is not something I've had cooking in the background where I'm like, oh, I should like think up and look for the first time that she's going to use the term of endearment. No, I was writing the dialogue. I was writing it live reaction, and I think I even went back and put it in there as an interesting element because I'm now showing the progression of a relationship. That when her inhibitions are down, when she's seeing that she has someone to take care of, this is what comes out, and that reveals her. It's a show don't tell thing, even though I then went on to tell, like, it was unusual for her to have said this the first time. So that's number one. Let's just do little revelations. Number two, I want her out of the scene. She just got in the scene and I want her out of it. I want her there because it makes sense for her to be there. I want her there because she's important to Thane. I want her there because she's going to develop some things here, like this opportunity, number one. But she needs to leave because Thane and Slade are having a scene. This is the scene. This is them talking about literal revolutions. Okay? This is what's important. This is like the primary thing right now. And this is why I said no earlier to here. This scene is not about Evelyn and Thane. And so I want her there, and so I bring her there, and then I have her leave. So how do I get her to leave? I say, okay, Thane probably looks like crap. She's going to make sure he gets some water, some snacks, whatever. Now, when I started deconstructing this in our out-of-character chat, I was laying all of this out because I don't necessarily know I'm doing this until I look back at it, right? So I said scene writing is puzzle solving to me. I wanted Evelyn to show up on the scene, but I didn't want her to command Thane's attention. The interest in the scene was between him and Slade. So I need to have her come in and leave. Why? To go get him some water and snacks or whatever, because he looks like he's been through it, and Evelyn knows Evelyn knew he might be back any day, and she's probably been rehearsing this moment in case he does come back worse for wear. Right, so there's number 2. Number 3, I introduce another character into the scene. It's Amy. Of course, it's Amy. And I said in the out of character, I said, this temple has so many people in it right now that when you run a scene and you don't have other people in it, it kind of feels like, where is everybody? Like, why aren't they here? So you want to sprinkle them in. So we'll just have some Amy sprinkles. Cinnamon sprinkles. A character learns more of the other character, learns more from the context of the actions and words of their companions that are outside of their usual self-restraint in emergent situations. Yeah, that's great. That's what you meant by connection disposition? Or is this just another thought? But yeah, I totally agree. So I want Amy on the scene now. But I also need Amy to not come into this scene, because this scene is about revolution. Yeah, I caught the double thing there. You're good. So how do I keep Amy from coming out here to greet Thane? She cares about Thane too. How do I keep her from doing that? Amy's in the kitchen. Evelyn's coming into the kitchen to get water and snacks. How do I keep Amy from also joining the scene, but also let her be there as a living, breathing, life in the temple? And I was like, okay, let's have her be in the middle of baking something. Good enough, right? No, it's not good enough. Because I was picturing her with like an apron covered in flour and whatever. But somebody comes back from a week-long journey and you're like, I'm in the middle of baking bread. You're going to go out and say hi to them. Hey, how was your trip? Are you okay? Do you need anything? Is there anything I could do for you? I got to get back to this bread in just a minute, but I have 30 seconds. How do I keep Amy from going out for 30 seconds? I don't want her in the scene. I want her to exist and give color to the world, but I do not want her in the scene. So what I did is instead I had her in the middle of like kneading like really like wet dough. So her hands are like covered in dough and she's just like, she's busy. She's like actively busy. So I had to make her actively busy. Now, I mention this because I think the people reading the scene were like, oh, that's such a neat detail. And it is. But that's not why it was there. It wasn't there to be a neat detail. It was there because I needed Amy to stay in the fucking kitchen. So now I have Amy in the kitchen so that when Evelyn goes in to get the water and the snack, she actually has something to do. She's still living and breathing in the scene without interrupting this. And so they have a little teasing back and forth. Amy says like, hey, how's it going? What you up to? She's like, where's the flowers? I thought you were picking up flowers. And Evelyn says, Thane's back. And I had a little bit of fun writing against my own two characters, and I had Amy tease the shit out of her. And she's like, ooh, Thane, you going to get some more kisses? You going to get some kissy poo? Like, whatever. Like, I literally had her say this stuff. And I did that for another reason, too. Because now I have something to contrast the seriousness of how Thane looks to Evelyn. If Amy had not teased Evelyn, it would not have provided the contrast to the seriousness. So when Evelyn says, he doesn't look very good, it's a total mood cut. And then Amy's like, whoa, like, all right. Like, and so Amy goes like, hey, all right, like, there's some fresh rolls right there. Grab some of those. And she's able to contribute to the scene, to the snacks. She's an active participant in the scene without taking any air away from the revolution discussion. So this was like a back and forth that was like, I don't know, 2-3 posts of each character, and then it all gets released back to the main point and the reason we're here. No, you're good. No, yeah, drop in whenever. This is an unusual stream because I'm dissecting my own role playing and then trying to be like, and this is what good role playing. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be full of myself or anything. I find this fascinating, and I'm sharing it because I find it fascinating. I hope other people do too. And I mean, a lot of the people that watch my channel have access to this exact same interface that I'm reading off of from Discord. So it's like, what? I'm just kind of doubling my influence here, but whatever. So I went on, and as I was deconstructing this, because I didn't know I had done all of these things. This is the thing. I didn't know, in my prefrontal cortex of my brain, I didn't know I was doing all of these things. I think that I have built up a skill, and something that I find really enjoyable about this is to like rapid fire, like think through these things and like, oh, I need to move these pieces around. I need to do this. It's like scene writing for a movie. You need characters in certain positions to play certain roles, and you need certain elements of dialogue to undercut the tension in different places. And you need to play with this. Like I'm playing with it, like I'm playing with dough or Play-Doh or like putty. So I went on, I said, to not have somebody else in the temple stretches believability. So I'm like, are all, and I list like 3-4 other characters. Are these guys all in the building somewhere? Probably, but I don't control those characters. Who do I control? I control Amy. So I'm going to put Amy in the scene so that Evelyn has somebody to talk to. So Amy's going to be in the kitchen. I don't want Amy running out, adding another distraction, so I keep her occupied. So she's baking, but why not step out and say hi to Thane? I need her more occupied than that. That's why I put her hands deep in this sticky dough that she's literally kneading in that exact moment. Kneading, K-N-E-E-D, not kneading. So, I explain why Amy teases her. It makes sense. They're Shellenites, the temple, their faith is all about love and beauty and all that. So, yeah, they're teasing each other about it. And Amy's teasing Evelyn about her new cute little boyfriend, right? And Evelyn's just like, nope. Like, no, I'm really worried about him, kind of a thing. So we cut that. We reaffirm the stakes of the scene. I put in quotes, the stakes, that Thane legitimately needs some love and tender care. Amy gets it. She relents. She contributes to the scene by what she's already done, having already baked some rolls in the morning. And then they have an exchange where Amy's like, hey, I love you. And Evelyn's like, I love you too. And then boom, she leaves with the rolls. And I think we need to pick up that scene probably this afternoon, because that's where that ends. But that was my deconstruction of the scene that I did and why I put the elements in there. And again, serving the scene, the scene is not about Evelyn. It's not about Amy. It is actually about Thane and Slade, and Thane coming back feeling like he needs to like do something to change the state of the world because he's really upset by what happened when they were off traveling. So that's how you get today's stream, is because I've had this really fascinating emergent experience recently, running Evelyn in particular as an NPC, not a PC. So I'm not bringing my own wants, needs, and desires to this character, and that's what allows me the opportunity to explore, letting the scene tell me what it's gonna do. We didn't know the scene was gonna have her confess her love for him. We didn't know the scene was gonna have her. Going back even further, we didn't know that she was gonna jump in to this conversation here when these other women were talking to Thane at this party because she'd been dancing with him. Didn't know that was going to happen. Didn't know that she was going to try and stake her claim. Didn't know that she was going to feel freaked out and panicked by it and then run away. Didn't know Thane was going to come over. Didn't know that she was going to basically rebuff him. Didn't know that if Amy offered her the chance to go make things up with him, that she would say no. And when I say that, I mean it. Like, I'm writing this stuff and I was like, is she going to go talk to Thane? And I was just like, no, it's too much back and forth. It's too much. I came to you and then I went away and then you came to me and then you went away and then I go to you. And I was like, there's too much. There's too parallel there. It's too much. It needs to wait. And so we established the slow burn. And then a matter of hours later, the entire dynamic changes because everybody almost dies. She confesses her love to him. Where did that happen? Not that we need to follow my scribbles, but there. Here, this will make it easier to find. Wait for it. Silly drawing things. There, it's a big heart. Okay, didn't know that was going to happen. Didn't know how this scene was going to go. I just knew that I didn't want her at the start, and I didn't want her when they were checking in to see if she would come in, because that would have made the scene... If she had come in to see them kind of like cuddling and supporting each other, that would have entirely changed the scene. And I think you guys can see that clearly, but like I'm like, no, I don't. This is not going to be a scene about that, and we're not going to have an element of that right here, right now. If that's going to be something that comes up, it needs to be built up elsewhere. I need to see that before if she had a reason to be suspicious, distrustful, concerned, insecure, then that would have been the perfect thing to do. But I hadn't built that up because they were pretty much in a good spot, lip locking in the breakfast kitchen. You know what I mean? Didn't know that she would use this term of endearment. Didn't know that she would go get water or snacks. Didn't know that Amy would be there. Didn't know that Amy would be busy baking. Didn't know that Amy would tease her. Didn't know. Found out as I was literally writing it in the moment. And this is the thrill of role-playing to me. This is it. If I could tie it all up in a bow, I would say these scenes, using Thane and Evelyn as an example, these two characters, this is the thrill of role-playing for me. I do this with every character I possibly can. I try to not know what they're going to do. I try to consult back to my list of inputs here. All the things that you could be potentially considering when you're making decisions. And when you're making decisions, whether you're doing it from, I lost it again here, whether you're doing it based on the character for the character's sake, you, the player, what you want to see happen, or what you're doing for the table or the group, you bounce between all of these. Nobody is all one of these or the other. They might have a preference, but you see debates erupt where they're like, I'm an actor stance player and I'm an author stance player. And it's like, you're all everything. You really are. And you have your preferences, and that's fine. So yeah. All right. Okay. I got to catch up with chat. Good Lord. You do a lot of psychological analysis of everything I see. Usually it's more internal monologue. Yeah. I've had players tell me this, that I write a lot of internal monologue when I'm doing play-by-post. And I'm like, well, yeah, I need y'all to know this stuff. I need y'all to know this stuff. And these are not things the character is going to say, but I want you, the player, to know, and I know, so I need to get it in there. And I also get to explore the character's internal emotion processing matrix as well. I'm all about it. All about it. Oh, nice. Magic system based on emotional and psychological state. Very cool. As most things do, this makes me think of Girl by Moonlight, which the ability, I guess, what do you want to call them? They're called action ratings, which that came straight from Blades in the Dark, so action ratings probably aren't the best name for them. But they are all emotional based. So I'll read them to you quick. As far as games are concerned, I find this fascinating. So this isn't an emotion really, but analyze, conceal, confess, defy, empathize, express, flow, forgive, perceive. And people are like, how do you use forgive as an action in Girl by Moonlight? So brief deviation to talk about Girl by Moonlight. We'll come back over here to do it. The thing that helped me understand a game system that has a lot of emotional things as your actions is you ask the question, how would you punch? How would you punch using defy? Pretty easy. That's pretty easy to figure out. How would you punch using empathize? Because the game needs you to be able to answer that question, I think. I think that if you want to run this well, you need to answer, how can I punch using empathize? And what it would be is it's the context of the punch. And this is a game about magical girls fighting, whatever they need to be fighting at any given moment. The way you punch with empathize is you say, like, I know you're hurting because the old coven took away your magic and now you're upset and you're lashing out and you're trying to hurt everybody around you. You're empathizing with them as you're fighting them. That's how you punch with empathize. It's not about the fact that you're punching. It's about what you're doing while you're punching. It's about why you're punching. Tangent. Anyway, someday we will do an enormous amount of coverage on this game. I adore it with all of my heart, and you might see some more about it on Tuesday. I'm looking forward to that. Don't you mean 3 a.m.? I'm pretty sure it was 3 a.m. That scene hasn't picked up because all that was happening at 2 a.m. in your time. Yeah. I'm not getting PC vibes from Evelyn, my guy. I'm just not. I have many characters who have almost come out of NPC status, and many have failed. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting. I've thought about it. Like, what would it look like to have Evelyn as a PC? Because then now you're like, okay, well, it is Pathfinder. So she needs she's going to have a class and be effective in combat. And I'm like, what? That's not her at all. What are you talking about? Could she just be a cleric? Sure, I guess. But anyway. Sometimes you need to build a presence to pull towards a character's backstory in the future, naturally emerging. Dude, that's such a good point. That's such a good point. Okay, I had another conversation with somebody in our Discord community. By the way, check out our Patreon Discord community because we have amazing conversations all the time. Not even only just in text, but we do a lot of like group voice calls. People are like driving to and from work, and they just tag the Hangouts thing, and then we just chat. It's great. And in one of these chats, or no, this was in the text chat. We had a player who was, not a player, a member who was talking about how they really just don't want to hear your backstory. and in the service of them maintaining a certain level of pacing in their game, they don't want to interrupt the flow of the story by you going off on a tangent about, now I'm explaining the context for why this character made this decision. Now, we're very different people, me and this other member. We're good friends, and we have almost no common ground. It's hilarious. And I'm just like, I absolutely want to stop the pace to hear about the context for why you made that decision. Please stop and tell me all your backstory. We're different people. But this is a really great comment that you made here, Leonis. Sometimes you need to build a presence to pull towards a character's backstory in the future so it can naturally emerge. I really love that. You're building foundations, right, for opportunities. You're seeding the soil for, reaping the harvest, like all these metaphors that we use. I think that's really smart, really great intentional like thought towards role-playing, writing characters as well, since you're a writer. 100% agree. And I think the thing that people get upset about is like, oh, well, you're just seeding this so that you can explore your backstory. It's like, no, I think that people who do this, like you're saying, we're perfectly happy to wait for the sprout to come up. We don't know when it's going to come up, but we're going to make sure that it has the opportunity to. That's how I feel about it. Maybe you do as well. 3 a.m. was when you stopped talking about everything we were talking about here. Yeah, fair. It was a good conversation. And there was a lot of flattery for me in it, and that I loved that. Definitely was all about the flattery. Cool. Well, this was a lot of fun, and we can keep talking about narrative emergence, and hopefully I'll think of other examples as well. But I'm really happy to debut the drawing tablet. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. And I didn't do that bad. Don't know if any of it was legible, but it does not matter. What else that I could think of? I mean, I talked about how we had played a game of Fiasco, and Logan was there for that as well. It's not my fault. I didn't do it. But we ran a game of, we didn't run. We played in a game of Fiasco run by another community member. We have community games as well. And Logan and Kalana were both there. And that was also an exercise in like, you know what I didn't bring up today is like the concept of improv at all. So maybe what I'm describing is more improvisation, but I don't know that that's the case, because sometimes improv is about energy more than it is about through lines and consistency and arcs and all these other things. I think there's probably muscles that are shared between the two, but and I've done a little improv in my life. I actually started an improv group in senior year in high school. The wild London lore, it goes deep. The phrase "play to find out" has been in RPG circles for a decade at this point. I think "play to find out" came out of the PBTA revolution. And it's this idea of like, don't hold on so tightly to what you expect it to be that you miss what it could be, kind of an idea. All right, let's get some magic here. Magic in your world. Not an external force, but an extension of the caster's inner self. That's cool. I like that. You could do a lot with that. Oh. Ooh. To cast is to communicate with the world through the truth of one's being. Oh, I love that. That's really good. It's really good stuff. Fiasco was good. That game was wild. That was wild. Improv is about the moment. It is more present at the table, not as much in PvP. Yeah, because, I mean, the principles of improv are like, if if things aren't going away, introduce something, and it doesn't matter what it is, just whatever you have to do to keep the energy flowing is appropriate. That's my read on it anyway. So yeah, I think that those are very useful skills to have and to develop, but I think it's different than this narrative emergence, because there's this narrative emergence that I keep talking about is something where I get an absolute rush and a thrill when it comes to me really fast, and I do what I did the other night, and I'm like blah blah blah, and this is why the scene is happening this way. I get such a rush out of that, but you can have that same exact experience doing that very slowly and methodically, and just quieting your own mind kind of to let it come to you. So yeah, the exact quote was it was 2 wows. It was wow. I never thought you'd be this ungrateful. Oh man, that was a fun scene. Don't try to be a director as a player, for you will cause discord in the fluency of the roleplay. I don't know if I'd go that far. I think you can do it. So okay, I mean this is like, you got to know your table and you know your people, right? I think if you have a table of people who are all happily playing directors, then you're going to be fine. Furthermore, there are games that are entirely structured around being, what people call writer's room games. And some people just hate them and they will never touch them in their life. They just will not touch them. I find them fun. I find the PBTAs and the Forged in the Darks, they give you a little bit more narrative control. I find those fun, and I also find fun in a more traditional, if you want to call it that, F20 game where the world exists and you are exploring your character's place in it. In fact, there was just an article that Kalana sent me the other night that I read, which is from the Alexandrian, which is, the sort of resource that somebody in my position should be reading. So I bring more knowledge to these streams, but you guys, we're still new. Did you know this channel hasn't been in existence for 2 months yet? Did you know tomorrow is the 2-month anniversary? I haven't even done this for 2 months. So you're going to get a year at least, maybe less. You're going to get some time with unfiltered me first and figure out who I am. And then we'll get smart about other things. Speaking of channel being almost 2 months old, I do have my subscriber goal on the thing. We're at 88 out of 100. I think I can get to 100 by the end of the month. But again, go back to the beginning of the stream where I talked about how all these pressures and things are not healthy, and it's not about numbers. I think really what I want is I want some sort of reflection that I'm adding value, and steady, even if slow growth over time tells me, yes, you are adding value. You're on the right track. So I think that's why I care. I find it very fun when you can sort of for a moment take the GM seat as a player and add to the world. The living world is like the most important part for me. So when you say the living world, do you mean the world that lives outside of you putting input into it? Or I'm tangling all my words up. When you take the GM seat as a player and add to the world, is that what you mean by the living world? There's a difference between interjection and totalitarianism. I have no idea where you're going with that. You're going to have to give me more. Interjection is... Oh, okay. No. I do. I pieced it together. I figured it out. Yes, if you have somebody who's gonna be, well, no, I don't think we should do it that way. No, I think that, and you can get that in very mechanical games too. I've seen players who try to mechanically control the other players at the table. Like, it's like, hey, listen, I've got something for you. It's called solo role-playing games, where you can play the entire party yourself because that's what you're trying to do right now. These are not your game pieces. Take your hands off of them. But I've seen players do that, where they're like, hey, for your next turn, you should probably do this and this. And it's like, okay, all right, maybe some people find enjoyment in figuring that out for themselves. Maybe they'd find enjoyment in doing something different. So maybe let's just chill just a little bit. Let's just chill a little bit. The world should not be a stagnant thing. It is something that is ever shifting, whether that means in the realm of the player or the realm of how the world exists as a whole. Is a world ever a stagnant thing? Or is that something that you're saying is just in the hands of a GM who is, like, boring? Because on the one side, and this is this article that I was reading, this description on demand article from the Alexandrian. Google it, you'll find it. Where it's the practice of GMs turning to players and being like, you walk into a room, John, tell me what's in the room. And some people are so unprepared for that. They're like, what? That's your job. You tell me what's in the room. I don't want to tell you what's in the room. I don't want to take myself out of my character above board and then decide things for the world and then come back in. I don't want that back and forth. Some people do. Some games do. Some games don't support that. So all of these are gameplay traditions and styles that can exist in the hobby. It's just a matter of alignment. It's getting the right people with the right game, with the right expectations, and you will have a blast every single time. But when you have styles that clash, or GMs that want you to fill in the world, and a game like Fabula Ultima, which has mechanics for that, that's an easier pill to swallow. A game like Pathfinder that has no mechanics for that becomes where it's like a GM overlaying their style onto the system. And again, that can still work with the right people who are all on board, but that's something more commonly seen, at least from this article. I haven't dove deep into officially what's called a storytelling game versus a role-playing game. I just realized I don't think I'm sick anymore. And it just hit me. I have a little shortness of breath left in my lungs, but I haven't been coughing all stream, and that just hit me right now. That's very exciting. I've been sick for almost the entire life of this channel. The game world is always a living thing unless it will never affect player choices. Called emerging conflict, sure. Not boring, but sometimes over-controlling. Sometimes a GM is telling you a story and they have a vision. I think the players should actively be able to change the world some way. Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely. If the players can't change the world, then what are we even doing here? That's the Wawade. It's a rail system if the world interjects too often, sure. I mean, there's a balance to be had with all things, and it's kind of a crazy hobby we have, guys. You know that? Where it's not like one thing. It's not like chess. There are strategies in chess, but the pieces move the same ways every time. When you're talking about the role-playing hobby, it's like the pieces don't all move the same. The players don't all act the same. Somebody comes in and tells you there's different rules, and not to mention, like, which version of chess are you playing? Are you playing chess 3.5? Are you playing chess 5th edition? Are you playing, Chess Finder 1 that spun off from chess 3.5? Are you playing chess in the dark, which has entirely different assumptions about how everything works? It's kind of crazy to even try and think about role-playing games as a singular hobby when there are so many rule sets to them. Okay, if I said, hey, I'm really into board games, you would know that there's a clear line between the experience you're going to have from board game to board game. And yet, somehow, in tabletop role-playing games, we have these lingering assumptions or preferences that carry across, and they're different between people, and you never know what you're going to get until you get those people there in that moment. Whereas a board game is like, this is the rule book. This is how you play. The rules of the board, and not everyone is a queen piece. I am, though. I'm a queen. All right. Well, we are nearing the 2-hour mark, which is usually about how much gas I have for TableTopics stream days. So I don't know if you guys want to talk about anything else in particular. I wasn't sure where we were going to go. Yeah, what else to say about this whole little vibe? I mean, it just sounds like insanity, but if you want to develop these muscles, say you're watching this 2 years from now, way back in the VOD's history of London Station, and you're like, oh, what's this narrative emergence stream about? Maybe I've not really, done that. I don't really kind of release control in these moments to kind of let the scene speak to me. It's almost meditative. It's like you kind of have to get to a space where you can quiet your own mind. And to go back to my whiteboard drawing. Do I still have that? No, I closed it like a fool. Why did I close it? There it is. I think one of the biggest moments of clarity for me in this stream was when I listed out all those inputs. The inputs that are competing for your decision. And I just wrote, I can probably refine this, but I wrote, the character themselves, the scene in quotes, the other characters, scene partners, other players, the game itself, or your own ego. I think the challenge is quieting the self part of that to try and allow in more influence from the others. It's kind of like opening the aperture of a camera lens, right? So the aperture is the physical, like the little like overlapping thing, like Spider-Man's goggles. Shoop, shoop. And when you open that up, you let in more light. If you delay the exposure time, that's how people take pictures of stars, right? That's how they take pictures of like where you can see the Earth spinning under the stars if you fixate it on the North Star, which is not perfect North Star, by the way. I watched a lot of Star Talk this last year. But you're opening that aperture to allow in more light of these different inputs. And so there is an element of kind of like the dominant voice is always going to be your own internal voice. And so it's trying to quiet that to allow the light from the stars to come in instead of just having the sun blasting you. That's kind of what I would say. I think it's really important what you're talking about when you mention not having your character in the scene. That can be so much more important than being there to influence, to be involved. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't even really think about that as being sort of a novel thing, but not every scene is for every character. This is kind of what, like, I talk about this when I talk about our events, our New Dawn events. When I created them, it was an idea of the events are for anyone, but they are not for everyone. Which is, it's a tricky thing to parse. And I believe the same thing about scenes. All scenes, well, not all scenes. It's tough when you start to use absolutes. Many scenes are for anyone, but not for everyone. So you started that scene, Logan, and you said, hey, Thane is back from this adventure. He's kind of on a revolution tear right now. He might want to get into some trouble. Anybody who's around who wants to join the scene, feel free. That doesn't and shouldn't mean everybody who's ever intersected with the Temple of Shellen come and be in this scene right now. And that sounds crazy to even think it. But when you really take that to heart and you drill down and you say, well, let me actually look at the characters that are currently even closest to Thane. Do they have a place in this scene? And sometimes the answer is still no. I mean, they got to be in the scene. They got to exist, but they did not compete with the driving goal of it. And I try to make it make sense. I'm not just going to play a character in a scene because I want to hear my character talk. You know, if that's what you want, if that's what you're after, you just want to hear your character talk some more. The best way to do that in New Dawn is like make 3 more characters. So now you have a broader surface area of different things that might pull you into scenes so that you can hear yourself talk, which I'm at risk of. I mean, geez, I like to write. I said the other day, I'm a dialogue slut. I'm not good at describing things. I don't describe things. I don't describe the setting, the scenery, what the shade of the wood stain looks like. I do not. And I wish I did. I really wish I did, because I could give so much more life and breath to these scenes, but I don't know what you want to call me, like a vibe scene writer. I'm like, for me, it's about what happens between the characters is far more important and memorable to me than the details. However, I also know that the details do a lot of work, and I'm really grateful for players who add details, because that gives me those to bounce off of as well. So, yeah. So sometimes knowing when not to be in a scene is I don't know. I think it's important. You don't have to be in every scene. You don't have to do everything. Counterpoint to that is sometimes you'll have players or characters who they're like, well, I don't have a reason to be in that scene, so I'm just not going to participate. And then the next time an opportunity comes around, I don't have a reason to be in that scene, so I'm not going to participate. So that'd be the other side of the coin, where I'd say, listen. You have to play at some point. You have to start making some decisions to make your character have a reason to be in these scenes if you want to play. Otherwise, you will just be there not playing. What do I not give myself enough credit about? I give myself so much credit. Explain yourself, sir. You're going to hit me with something I absolutely don't give myself credit about. I know it. I'm ready for it. Yeah, this was a fun stream. This was a good one. So now, is narrative emergence the right terminology for this? I don't know. Descriptions. Oh, no, dude, I never... What? No, I don't. No, I do not. I'll tell you what. If there's ever a description of something in a scene that I've written, trust this. I wrote the entire scene out. And then I said, I need to add some space to let the dialogue breathe. Literal space for the reader. I need to pace out before they hear the next line of dialogue. There's time in between, and how do you communicate time to a reader? You either tell them, which sucks, or you make them read through more words to get to the next thing, so it gives them the sense of time. That's why I describe things. Pacing, man, I tell you, I write these things out. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, the pacing's all, I spend there tweaking. I'm like, this line needs to not be at the end of this sentence. I need to move that. So I need to have an interjection. She said with a smile on her face. Then the line is different than just putting it all into one dialogue. They're different. And I'm obsessive about this stuff. And like, I read it aloud back to myself almost to like, is this hitting the way I need it to hit? So yeah. Sometimes the dialogue is also the description. I don't know about that, man. You're creating an AI that has no similarity to the current AI that are well known. I'm developing it to create an MMORPG where it will manage and be a part of the world. It will be a reactive force to the players. Every action and choice in the world will be the NPCs, the environment, and the social dynamic ledger. If a player logs off, then it becomes the... Stay tuned for more. It's coming. Yeah, AI is that's a hot topic. I'm probably not going to go there. I think at best, and this might be what some people want or need, at best you're going to emulate what a great person-to-person interaction would be anyway. And so there's a time and a place for that. Sounds like you're doing some interesting stuff with it, though. So that is cool. It's always good to create. Always good to create. All right. It's 11:02. I guess that's it. Stay tuned. If you're not following me in the many places I am, I have a Patreon that I never post to because that's not the point. That's just to get the integration to the Discord. There are some very affordable tiers down there if you want to join the community and chat with all the people that I've been talking to. I'm on Blue Sky. All of these links are in the thing, pretty sure. But stay tuned. If you're not subscribed here on the YouTube channel, stay tuned because we are going to have a guest on Tuesday. It's going to be the first guest on the stream, and it's not a small name to me. So I'm very excited about that, and I need to do a lot of work to make sure it goes very well. I'm looking forward to it, though. Let's just say the person that we're looking to have on has written one of the books behind me. So that's going to be incredible. And I'm so grateful that they're giving me some of their time. So, of course, as these things go, that might change between now and Tuesday. But for now, plan on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be cool. It's going to be very cool. If you're watching this now or you're watching it later, like the stream so that people know that you like it. Whatever. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Follow the follows. Do the things. All the things that everybody does. And with that said, we are going to probably go right out to our friend, Zachary. If I can type correctly. And they are... I should mute this so it doesn't blast me out. They are playing Lordsworn, which is a solo TTRPG. And I need to look this up. I keep meaning to look this up, what game they're playing. But they did all their own art for their overlays and their model and everything. It's really cool. And they're on a break screen right now. God dang it, Zach. Maybe we'll hang out and chat for a little bit. But we raid. We're not on Twitch, but I've got quite a few good friends on Twitch. And so we just do the manual raid. We go over there together. And we say hi, and then you go on with your day. If you can't hang out, that's fine. But there's the link for when we go over there. I'll see if we can catch them off of the break screen. Okay, here we go. Then it becomes the player character. It does as the player would do as an NPC. Quest giver should keep regard small tasks to play. Yeah, while they're away. Yeah. There's some interesting stuff happening in that space, and I wish them well. I hope they can, especially you in particular. You're doing your own, so that's great. But I hope we can find compassionate business models in the future. Hope so. Well, oh, I wasn't on live either. Maybe he is off break. No, he's not. Okay. Wait. They're putting commands in the chat. How are you putting commands in the chat if you're on break? Whatever. I'm going to go over there and hang out with Zach while I do my after stream stuff. Thank you guys all for being here today. Wasn't sure how long this conversation would go. We could probably do this, probably sit here for another 2 hours and just talk about examples and scenes and stuff. But, at some point you've made your point. So thanks for being here. Appreciate you all. Stay tuned for Tuesday. Wednesday night, we'll be back with Expedition 33. Saturday morning, we will be back with Astro Prisma Episode 9. And Sunday will be the next stream that's up in the air. So if you have stream ideas between now and Sunday you want to see considered, let me know. Glad you had a fun time, Leonis. You are welcome anytime. Shoo, good to see you. You been lurking the whole time? Yes, and Zach's off break. We did it. We waffled long enough to get him off break. Okay, so we're going to head over there. Let's just go in and say it's a London raid, because that's what Twitch people do. They all think, they're like, these are all like my VTuber Twitch friends, and I'm like a non-VTuber YouTube streamer, and so I'm the odd one out, but it's fun. You just joined. Oh, well, I can start it over. You want me to take it from the top? First, I sang a song in Spanish. That was fun. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I'm glad you had a good time. Yes, you did just miss it, but now you can watch it at two times speed, so it's all good. This is the longest outro I've ever done. Someday I'll tighten these outro things up, but whatever. Most people don't make it to the outro anyway, so you guys are the hardcore ones. I'm gonna head out. We're gonna go say hi to Zach, and I'll talk to you later. Most of you on the Discord. Love you. Have a good night.